There seems to be a conspiracy about Christmas, and it isn't the war on Christmas, which you dedicate a whole chapter to, but there seems to be a conspiracy.
So this is what turns out to be one of those conspiracies that turns out to be true. There's a couple of them here, right? In the early history of Christmas, in the early history of the holiday, I should say, there was a religious conspiracy, right? There was an existing celebration around this time of year, Saturnalia, celebrations of the sun god's soul. Those are two different things. But those traditions were in the Roman Empire. And the Catholic Church conspired, the early Catholic Church, like Constantine and that kind of stuff, essentially conspired to hijack those celebrations and make them about Jesus when they weren't about Jesus to begin with, right? And there's no reason to think that Jesus was born on December 25th or anything like that. But they just declared that to be Jesus' birthday, so they essentially could tack on the religious elements, the Christian elements, to this already existing holiday. As I try to explain in the book, essentially what happened was that Constantine converted to Christianity, but his entire army worshipped Sol Invictus, right? And everybody else was celebrating Saturnalia or something, like that, like a harvest festival at that time. And if he was going to make the Roman Empire Christian, right, he couldn't very well do that, but have everybody celebrating these non-Christian holidays. He couldn't have the biggest celebration of the year be a non-Christian celebration. And so essentially what the church does is declare, well, yeah, what we're really doing is celebrating Jesus, because Jesus was born on that day. And the public essentially said, do we still get to celebrate? Yeah. Okay, fine. You can say what it's about, whatever. Right? Like, we don't care as long as we still get to have our party. And then, of course, over time, people forget what they were originally celebrating, and it does become to be seen about Jesus. But that is not at all where the celebrations came from. And throughout the Middle Ages, the church conspired to try to Christianize the holiday, to make it about Jesus in more than name only. And it only actually became known as Christmas until about like the 1100s. And it gets that from Christ's Mass. That was the Mass that was like the earliest Mass you could go to end your fast, essentially, was Christ's Mass. And so people call it Christmas. But it's even once it was finally called Christmas in the 1100s, it was still celebrated in a completely raucous and secular way. It was feasting, drinking, and sex is how you celebrated Christmas. And that was true throughout the Middle Ages, despite the Catholic Church's attempts to try to make the holiday religious in more than just name only, right? So much so, it was so secular, it was so raucous, that the only organization, the only group to ever actually wage a war on Christmas was the most Christian of them all, the Puritans, who outlawed Christmas celebrations in early America because they were so debaucherous. They were just drinking and sex, and cross-dressing was part of it as well. They banned those celebrations. You couldn't even take the day off work unless it was a Sunday. Unless December 25th happened to fall on a Sunday, you better be working on Christmas Day.